Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I wanted to show you guys most, if not just my favorite variegated plants. I don't really have too many, but there's definitely more that I could have shown that I chose not to. Before we get into the variegated plants, I do want to talk a little bit about variegated plants in general. If you are in a low light situation, I would not recommend getting variegated plants just because the variegation on those leaves, anything that isn't green, so if you get like really stark white variegation like the elbow or like the white wizard or the white knight, like things like that just have a really white variegation, that variegation does nothing for the plant. Putting it in low light, you're just going to cause those white parts, those variegated portions, to just crisp off. If the variegation isn't completely white and still has a little bit of green or some sort of lighter version of a green, it will still photosynthesize, but just not as effectively as the darker counterpart of the leaf itself. So variegated plants would just appreciate a little bit more light because the green parts have to work harder to sort of upkeep those variegated portions of the leaf. Real quick, I do want to elaborate a little bit more on this because I feel like I didn't give enough information. Plants use the green on their leaves to feed off of the light that they get. It's an energy that we don't see. They feed off of that, and so if there's no green on that leaf, it's really not doing anything for the plant, is sort of what I'm trying to get at here. It's not photosynthesizing, it's literally just aesthetically. And so if you take that and you put it in low light, the plant is just going to get rid of the portions of the leaf that aren't carrying their weight. So the white variegation is going to be the first to go, then goes like the green white variegation, and then, you know, kind of just like the spectrum. The lighter the green is, the more light it's going to need to photosynthesize. I do have quite a few variegated plants. Like when I really take the time to like think about every single variegated plant I do have quite a few, and like more than you even realize. Like begonias, the blistering on them, that's variegation. My Politoflorum has like the blistering veins, that's considered variegation. My Dracaena, like there's so many plants in my collection that I'm like, I don't realize it's variegation, but then when you really think about it, it is. So the first one that I want to show is this pink, I believe this is called a pink princess, or is just known as a Trytoscantia tricolor. This plant is so beautiful. I have been really enjoying propagating this, making new plants, just because it's so easy and simple. Like you literally just cut it, put it in water, next couple days it has roots. It's so quick and easy. Trytoscantia, I feel like definitely need a lot higher light to really, especially these variegated ones, they are not going to do much for you unless they have like a continuous bright source of light. I noticed with mine, when I had it by my east facing window, it was getting bleached a little bit, like the green parts were sort of getting bleached. Definitely don't just blast it with light. I feel like higher light but further back would make a little bit more sense. But this plant has just been so much fun to propagate and watch grow and display with. It's just such a stunner, and like, I don't know, I feel like Trytoscantias are kind of not really talked about a lot, and I feel like it's definitely because they can get very leggy and weird looking if you don't prune them or if you don't give them enough light. But yeah, this is a great one to start with. The next one, and I had to show this one, like there's no way I wasn't going to, because let me just show you and then we'll talk about why. This is my Calathea Wily Eye, and it took me a while to like really process that this is technically variegated because of this midrib right here. All of this lighter green is technically variegation, so yeah. And this plant is just so beautiful, and I don't know, this plant just encapsulates me. Like I want to have triples of these at least in my, you know, space when I can, because it is just so beautiful. Like the softness, these are velvety, so it's really like, it's just like the best of everything besides it being really a Calathea. At my job, a lot of people don't really buy like velvet leaf Calatheas, or Calatheas in general. I feel like a lot of people are just scared of Calatheas, but have no fear. This one has been really, really easy. I'd say the only really true issue I had with it was some stem rot, which could have been to my conditions that I was giving it, because during the winter it wasn't getting the best light, and so it could have easily stemmed from that. But this plant is such a fast grower. It just shot out this leaf and it's already giving me a new leaf, if you can see it in there. Yeah, this plant is really easygoing. I just water as soon as I see some wilt. Like I think it might need a water soon, just because this leaf is starting to give me some like weird action. Next, I'm going to talk about my Marble Queen Pothos. I also have a Gisenia cutting in here. This is definitely an oldie but a goodie. Pothos in general are really good to start with because they just are really easy to understand sometimes. Obviously, when you're first starting out, I started out with Pothos. I did not understand plants in general, so it was very hard for me to grasp them. But this one, it was in rehab for a while, like a very long time. And so it's just recently been, you know, completely potted up, and I think it's doing pretty okay. It's definitely started shooting out some leaves as well. And this one, the reason that I think it's a really good place to start with is because you can get a grasp for variegation. There's some variegation that is not stable, and then there's other variegation that you can sort of make more prominent with certain factors like temperature or light, and this is very dependent on light. If you give this a lot of light, it'll give you more variegation. If you don't give it a lot of light, it'll definitely give you some more green leaves. Like this doesn't really have a lot compared to what I've seen. It definitely has a good bit, but like this one, you can't even really see that. But yeah, this Pothos, I've noticed, really enjoys a lot of light. Or maybe I'm thinking of the wrong one. Yeah, and then same with this Gisenia. This Gisenia Pothos also really dependent on light. This was the leaf it came to me with. You can see no variation, and this is the most recent leaf, which I have it under my Barina lights, so this is getting some pretty good light. And yeah, this plant just can really show you what variegation is and how to sort of deal with it depending on your situation. Again, not all plants are like this. Like the Pink Princess, I know has genetic variegation. Same with the Albos. This is just a really good place to start with if you're, you know, just now getting into variegated plants. The next one I want to show is this beautiful white wizard. I believe this one is also dependent on like the nodes, sort of like the Pink Princess and the Albos, but don't quote me on that. I would have given a little bit more information on variegation. I do know quite a bit, but I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel like I know enough to really teach on it, so I don't want to mention any of that. This is just sort of a roundup of what I know so far, and don't quote me on any of this. Again, take it with a grain of salt, all of that. But yeah, this is a white wizard. This thing is so beautiful. It has been in rehab for a very long time. I did recently put it under my Barina lights, but yeah, this thing is such a vigorous grower. Like I had it in propagation for like a couple months, I want to say. Again, it was winter time. I didn't have any grow lights, so yeah. And when it was in propagation, it was shooting out leaves left and right, like one after the other. I don't even know how. It had roots, just not enough to fully support the plant. And the variegation on this is so beautiful. I always see Becca's specimen, her plant stories. Hers is so beautiful, and the big puffy leaves on it, I love it so much. I really, really am excited to have this in my collection, and I'm even thinking about getting another one, to be quite honest, just because I feel like I enjoy it so much that I wouldn't mind having two. The next plant that I have to show you guys is my Sangonium Mojito. This one is also, or from what I've noticed so far, is also based on light. It came to me with this, and then I chopped it up, and the second portion shot up this leaf, and then this one gave me this leaf, and then this leaf, and it does have a new one on the way, which looks really, really big. Wow. Yeah, this one does have a new leaf on the way, and I believe this one is pregnant, so should be shooting out a new leaf pretty quickly. But yeah, this one I've noticed it is based on light. When I gave it higher light, it gave me these more mojito mottled looking leaves, and then this was when it was near my window, I believe, so it wasn't getting too much light, but it was, you know, pretty substantial, so it can still give me some of that variegation. And then this was also when it was by my window, so a lot more green in there, which I really enjoy plants like this where it sort of shifts with your conditions. So if you definitely have a more low light situation, like a north facing window, or you know, you don't really have a lot of artificial light to really give it, I would definitely recommend this one just because it shifts with your conditions. If you have less light, it'll sort of give you more of this green variegation, and the variegation on this isn't too white. Like there's definitely still a lot of green in there. There is some white in there, but it's very hard to see. You can definitely see it more on the back seals. I'll see if I can show you. You can see the like white veining. Yeah, it has very little white in there, but most of it is green. So yeah, if you have a more low light situation, this is definitely a good one that I recommend. And it's a pretty fast grower, honestly. Like I really enjoy this, and I really want to see this sized up, so we'll come back to that in another video. Next is my Jose Bono. All of these need, oh my god, look at this root. All of these need a pretty good watering, so they're all pretty light. I need to do some plant chores today. Oh my goodness, look at this other root. Wow. Okay, anyways, this is my Jose Bono, and this one I believe is also based on light from what I've noticed. I had it in low light here. Where is it? I believe this is when I had it in lower light situations, and then this one was also in a low light situation, but before it was in that low light situation, it was near my window, so it could have also been because of that. And then this one again, lower light situation, and this is when I've more recently started to give it more light, and you can see the variegation right there. This one is also a really good one, just because again the variegation shifts with your conditions. This one you can get that more white variegation like this, but for my conditions I've noticed it's given me a lot of this like limey green variegation. I know there is a way to get that white variegation to stay. Like I believe Her Plant Stories has one that has a lot of white variegation, and then also Charmaine had one that kept that white variegation. So there is a way, I believe, to get that to stick, but I haven't really had a lot of time to experiment with this one because for the most part it's been in rehab. It sizes up really quickly. Like before this leaf, it gave me this leaf, and just look at that size difference. This and this, like it's so easy to size up. Obviously it's reverted in size because it's been in rehab. Just such a good one. I love this one so much. It really has brought me so much joy, and I'm excited that it's starting to, you know, root up, because for a second there I was pretty worried on whether this would like recover from the root rot, but it seems to be very happy. Maybe I'll do a plant chores of like trying to pot this up soon. But yeah, that is my Jose Bono. And last but not least, of course I had to show you guys this one, which actually also needs a water. This is my plant arrangement, and everything in here is variegated. I have a variegated Atarisium, a Epipremnum marble, and an Epipremnum albo. I'm gonna start with this variegated Atarisium. This thing grows so quickly, and this one is also based on light. I've noticed this is what it gave me when I gave it more higher light, and this is what it had before. You can see that. And then, you know, the newer leaves are coming out really like weird and diseased. Yeah, the newer leaves are definitely really weird and just like they aren't completely forming, and I don't know if that's because of the variegation or because of light or nutrients, but yeah, it's just very disgusting looking leaves. Like, and not necessarily in a bad way, but just like the leaf shape isn't fully formed. It's more based on where the variegation is. Like on this one, definitely like, what is this? The marble I've noticed isn't that fast of growing. I am giving it a lot more light though. Again, with white variegation, which this one is. Would it be green on white variegation? I don't know. Not technically, but the marble again has that white variegation, so it's not going to be photosynthesizing a lot, which means that it is going to be a little bit slower compared to like the albo or the Atarisium, definitely. But yeah, I have started to give it a little bit more light, so it is actually giving me a new leaf, I believe. Yeah, I saw one the other day. It has a new leaf on the way. So yeah, the more light you give the marble, the faster it'll grow for you. And that sort of applies to generally, you know, any variegated plant, because again, those white portions aren't doing a lot for the plant. So the more light you give it, the more it'll feed off of those green parts, or feed off of the photosynthesis from those green portions. Yeah, and this Epipremnum albo I recently chopped just because it's not giving me the variegation that I really want and I'm looking for. And both of these are coming down in price. I know PLHC has some pretty inexpensive ones, and they even sell like cuttings, I believe, of the albo. I don't know that I saw the marble. If you're interested, PLHC sells all of these for a really great price. And yeah, this one is definitely a favorite. I actually saw a picture of like what this looked like when I first got it. I'll put it up so that you guys can see the difference of growth, and it's just insane. Like this thing has come so far and I feel like such a proud plant mom right now. Honestly, this is a majority of my variegated plants. Obviously I have like, I'm gonna say at least like 5 more to show if I really wanted to, but these are just my current favorites and the ones that I'm like really looking at, focused on, like all of that, just because I really do enjoy all of these and they just make me so happy and they make me feel so fuzzy and warm. And if you're thinking about getting into variegated plants, I definitely recommend it. It's definitely something else to be appreciated within the hobby, just because, you know, it's definitely something else to look forward to. You know, the new leaves, they all look different, they all have a different pattern. The variegation is going to be different in different spots, you know. It's definitely a different experience compared to like an all green leaf. Feel free to let me know your guys' favorite variegated plants down below, or any that you are enjoying right now. And yeah, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching and I really hope you enjoyed.